look, I am truly trying to kill you when I'm across from you in the ring.
Yeah.
That is my job. I'm going to try to hurt you within the rules. I'm going to try to do my best to kill you.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting us into your home.
Oh, thanks for coming. This makes it a lot easier.
But there's also no better way to have a conversation than this.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah,
which is always good.
Yeah,
I've always been that way though. Like even before all this like Zoom and I do radio interviews and they're like, oh, you don't have to go in. You can just call in. I'm like, I'm here. Like I'll come in.
Which I think works out better for everybody. Because
well, it does. I mean, you go in, especially if you've never worked with somebody.
Yeah.
You go in and you're going on a radio interview, right?
Yeah.
And you get in there and it's just cold from the first thing you do is you start talking to the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and I go from the day when people had no idea what UFC was.
Sure.
These guys you have no chance to get any kind of rapport with them. They don't know anything about your sport. And you're trying to have a conversation and make it interesting, right?
Yeah.
And promote something while you're in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So, I always felt it was always better to get there early. You talk to the guy, when the guy's off for a minute, you have a conversation before you actually decide to be on the radio for 3 minutes and try to promote something.
But I think that says a lot about you because there's a lot of people that would go, no, I want to put in like the least amount of effort possible. I'll just call in at 8:17 and we'll make this thing happen.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to be overworked, but I also I think product over laziness. I guess I don't know.
Sure.
I'd rather have a good. I want to get out of here on time. I tell guys doing things. I want to get out of here on time, but I want to make sure you got what you need.
Yeah, right.
I'd rather have a good product
when
we're done than have me get out of here an hour early.
Yeah.
So.
When did you become Chuck? I mean, your name is Charles, but when did you become Chuck?
That's actually funny. No one ever asked that. I actually didn't like the name Chuck. I fought it for years. My family called me Charlie. I actually had in high school, I had buddies who'd call up, hey, is Chuck there? And this is back, we had this phone.
Sure.
So my grandma answered the phone. Nope, no Chuck here. I'm like, is Charlie there? And she, oh yeah, he's right here.
Oh,
she handed me the phone.
Yeah.
It was not allowed. But eventually I just got used to it. Now I tell people my name's Chuck. So
does anyone call you Charlie now?
My family still, my mom, my sister, my brother.
Yeah.
And then some friends from I've said this before in a couple of interviews a while ago, and now it changed a little bit. But I used to, if I heard someone yell Charlie when I'm walking through, because I'm walking through a crowd, I try not to look a lot if I'm trying to get somewhere fast. I just, someone yells my name, I just keep going.
You kind of stand out, yeah.
You have to kind of stop me to get me to stop, because otherwise if I turn around and they go, come here, I'm like, okay, I'm coming here, I'll take a picture. But so I'm trying to walk through, but I hear Charlie, and you'll get me go, I'm thinking, it's somebody from high school or someone from one of my family members or somebody. For the most part, everyone calls me Chuck now.
Did you have a moment after you retired where you're like, you know what, I could grow my hair out now. I could live like, everybody else now.
I never really, it was always that, even when I retired, I started doing right away. It was like I did a lot of appearances. And I've shown up a couple times with it shaved or, grown out. I grew it out for a couple movies and stuff. And people are like, they kind of expect you to show up in character for your appearance. Even shaving my face though. Actually, my funniest story was shaving my face. First time I shaved my face after my daughter Guinevere was born. She was she might have been 3, but she was horrified. I didn't tell her I was shaving. I came down without it on.
It's like, who's this man in my house?
Put your lips back on. Daddy, put your lips back on. I'm like, oh, sorry, this is Daddy. I'm okay. And she was like, scared. I was like, oh man, but yeah, I look so different without facial hair.
It's funny that you describe it as a character because, sure, it's a character, but it's so very much who you are.
Well, yeah, but it's like really a long time ago when I was kickboxing. This is a long story, but anyway, I was going to go fight in Strongbow Arena in Bakersfield, and the guy Eric, I think it's Eric Nolan was his name, was a guy that used to run the fights. He was the promoter, and I showed up and I fought and I got a knockout, second round knockout.
Nice.
And afterwards he goes, man, You can't. Can you put the mohawk back? Bring the mohawk back next time. I mean, you can't come here like that. Everyone's thinking you never showed up and fought. I'm getting people mad at me that you never came.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm like, oh well. I had a court case I had to go to. I got there's a bar fight, and I had to go to court, and they said, well, can you shave your head and can you grow your hair out and shave your face for the court case?
Your lawyer said this?
Yeah, so I did that before the fight because I had to grow out my hair. So I grew out my hair out because I had to go to the court case the next week.
You wanted to look like a good guy.
They wanted me to look well, yeah. But the guy, it was a BS thing. And the guy was like, I was throwing the guy out of the bar. He tried to throw. I was picking him up, carrying him out of the bar. He tried to throw me, and he tried to roll me through, and I just hip tossed him, and he landed on his head. So. But it was one of those things. My lawyer got him real good because we didn't know he did wrestle in high school. I said he obviously wrestled in high school, he's just not as good as me, because he tried to do like an arm spin thing, and I just countered it, and he asked him on stand. I said, so how you wrestled in high school, right? He's like, yeah, I wrestled all 4 years. I'm like, yeah, so you know this move, and that's what you did. It was pretty funny. Jeez. But it was easy to win that case. But
was there ever a point in your life when you were gonna have a quote unquote real job?
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, I went to school for accounting. I got a degree in accounting.
I can't imagine you being an accountant.
Yeah. And honestly, I started kickboxing when I was finished wrestling and I was finishing up school.
Yeah.
And I decided I really want to do this. I was having a lot of fun, but I wasn't making any money. And right around 97, I went to John Hackelman, my trainer, and I'm like, you know what, man, I'm having a great time. I'm bartending, kickboxing. It was a blast.
Sure.
We were having a good time. I love fighting. I love what I was doing, but I'm like, you know what, my family's giving me a lot of pressure to get a real job, go out there, and I got an accounting degree, go out. I mean, my grandma wants to brag, I'm working for some big firm, I'm like, I told if we don't start making money soon, I really got to get a real job. I mean, I love this, but I can't just do this.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, I don't know, it's hard to make money kickboxing, and right after that, Nick Blomgren, the guy actually who kind of really got me started kickboxing, called me up and said, hey, Alfie says you're a pretty good wrestler. Do you want to do a mixed fight? And invited me. I did this like open hand striking fight in Vegas, actually, at the Orleans. I think it was the first one of those ever, and it was on a kickboxing card, but it was an extra fight on there. Oh wow! I wound up kicking the guy in the head, knocking him out, and some guy from the stands comes up, hey man, do you want to fight in the UFC? And now, back then, I didn't know. I didn't know how to get in the UFC. We are like, and we've been talking about me. My friends were like, "Man, you need to fight in the UFC."
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Lorenzo Neal. He's always come up to me. He's like, "You need to fight in the UFC. You're a great fighter, and you're a wrestler, and you need to go fight in the UFC." Like, and he was like, "I'll get you in there. We just got to figure how do we get in there?"
Yeah.
No one knew how. Right. So, yeah, it's like guy asked me, "Do you want to go in?" And they offered me UFC 17. To be an alternate to a tournament for $1,000.
$1,000.
And I was like, okay, and I was back in. Okay, now I'm not going to get a real job. I'm going to go back to fighting again. Like, it got me, and I fell in love with the sport, and that just been doing it ever since.
I think timing in life is everything, though. And had you been coming up just 5 years before, you would have had to get that real job because UFC wouldn't have really been a thing. Right.
If it just been, 5 years, it would just. UFC would have been just starting and it wouldn't have been anything. Yeah, it was. I still think I would have found my way there somehow. I would have been got the real job and then been doing it on the weekends. I always would have been doing martial arts and fighting of some sort.
Yeah.
But it's just being in the right place at the right time and being prepared when you're in the right place at the right time is a big thing. I got a lot of. I think some of the opportunities were lucky. Some of the opportunities were, hey, but you have to win.
Yeah.
I asked for some of the breaks. I mean, like Randleman. He came down from the heavyweight champion, and he was going to fight. They offered me a different fight. I'm like, I don't want that fight. Can I have Randleman? I want him. Oh man, I'm like, if you beat him, you have to fight your friend Tito. I'm like, I want the title. I'm like, he's still got the title when I get there, where we're gonna have to fight.
Yeah,
we ain't that close.
Was
we weren't even close. I mean, we were training partners really, and I didn't dislike the guy at the time, but
Are you still close now?
No.
I don't know.
We never.
You could have mended things later.
No, we never. We were never. He tried to build it up that we were really close friends because he didn't want to fight me, because when we trained together, I beat the hell out of him. I beat him at wrestling because he's a style of wrestler I like to. I just styles make fights in wrestling too.
Yeah.
And he's a wrestler I like to wrestle. He couldn't do anything to me on the ground. He couldn't stay on top of me on the ground when we're just doing ground stuff. He couldn't. He could start on top and he still couldn't stay there. And he definitely couldn't take me down when we were striking at all. And I used to drop him with body shots all the time. He hated it. And then so when it came time to fight, he's like, I can't beat this guy. I'm not going to fight this guy.
So he created this storyline.
Yeah, this whole storyline. I mean, if you looked at the whole storyline, from the old days, like if you listen to what he was saying, he basically took me out of the street, fed me, and taught me how to fight, and I turned on him. Like he used to sleep on my couch, and my wife fed him. I'm like, that's because you're too cheap to get me a hotel room. I was your sparring partner. I came down to be a sparring partner as a favor to you.
Yeah.
As people asked me to do it, and I'm like, I came as a favor to you to be a sparring partner. You didn't, and I stayed at your house as a favor to you, so you didn't have to pay for me to get a hotel room.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is that? And then you didn't have a bed for us, so I slept on your couch. Yeah, that's me being nice. I mean, it had nothing to do with it's not like, and we trained together here and there, but he's got some friends of his that became friends of mine that I'm still friends with today, but
you're not friends with him anymore.
I haven't been friends with him in a long time. But that's the other thing too. I think people get it mixed. They think I hate him. Like I got no ill will towards him. Like you're doing business with him, watch yourself.
Yeah.
But hey, more power to him. I hope he's happy. I hear he's a good father, which that's a big thing for me with people.
Sure.
If you take care of your kids and you're good for your kids, great. That's a great thing. His girl, I like her. I mean, I knew her from the past, and she's a really nice person. She's always been cool to me, and I hope they're happy.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with them. I don't want to do business with them.
Sure.
I definitely don't want to do any business with them. But I mean, I don't like the guy. But it is what it is.
Was he hard to work with behind the scenes as well? Like, when you doing business with him?
Look, okay, yeah, he's not one of those guys like a Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
Chael Sonnen goes out. We were both going to be on the same show, but he was filming his episode, and I was the next day, and they did the same place.
Yeah.
And I'm in the green room talking to his mom, and she said, "Oh, I'm a big fan of yours." We're talking. He's out there, and it was right around the 2018 fight stuff when I was fighting again, and he was out there just he talked shit. He talked trash and talk out there about me.
Yeah.
Right there. And he walked in the back and he goes, "All right, man, I teed it up if you want to do it, man. But how you doing? How are the kids?"
That's funny.
That's a guy that's just doing it for business.
Yeah.
Tito's not quite that way.
Yeah, I got you. Obviously, the Tito fights were, something that people will remember you for. But what was the fight before that really put you on the map?
Well, I think what really launched things, as far as people going, oh, this guy can really go, was I knocked Kevin Randleman and Guy Metzger out in the span of 3 weeks.
And the way you knocked out Guy Metzger.
Yeah, I knocked out Randleman, who just came down to light heavyweight, was supposed to be the new dominant force at light heavyweight because he was a heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Came down and I knocked him out in a minute 18.
Yeah.
Caught him a left hook, boom, out. And then I went to Pride 3 weeks later, and knocked out Guy Metzger. It was a good fight. I think he won the first round. Second round, I knocked him out.
I mean, you slept him.
I slept him. Oh, he went. Yeah, that was one of the couple fights when I actually got nervous in the corner because he didn't move for a while.
Yeah.
He ended up being fine, but I was like, that's when I was like, oh no.
What does it feel like? Do you know when you've landed that knockout punch?
When you can see them when they sleep like that.
Yeah.
Like it's like I did one in the IFC where Steve Heath hit him with a right hand. He might have been going out with that, but I caught him with a right kick right after, around his way back. I bounced off the cage, and he went straight down. And it was like one of those, Like that, I went straight. I didn't even. I just walked over to the corner like, "Is he gonna be okay?" Like, I hope he's okay. Like, it's fine.
So that killer instinct turns off immediately.
Oh, immediately. I look. I am truly trying to kill you when I cross me in the ring.
Yeah.
That is my job. I'm going to try to hurt you within the rules. I'm going to try to do my best to kill you.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's over, I hope you're all right.
Yeah.
And I'm it's for me, it's a competition, and I'm not an emotional fighter, so I'm not angry at you. I'm really just trying to pick you apart and trying to. And when I see, I can, and you can see in guys' eyes when they're hurt. You know, you can see they kind of gloss over a little bit. Oh, you know, I get that. You know that. I'm gonna go get him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's actually a funny thing when I saw Randleman on the way on the train to go back to fly back from Knockout Guy Metzger.
Yeah.
And Kevin, I like Kevin. He's a good dude. I actually cornered him for one of his where he knocked out Crow Cop. But he looked at me and he's like, "Man, I was really bummed out you knocked me out, but man, you're pretty good." I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks, brother.
On the flip side of it, when you've been knocked out, what's the least that you remember?
Oh, I mean, the thing is, what's his name? Rich
Franklin?
Rich Franklin. Yeah, Rich's fight. After I took a shot and we had a headbutt, right?
Yeah.
I headbutted him. I don't remember anything after that. For that fight.
Wow.
After I split my head open, I don't remember anything after that.
And you broke his arm in that fight.
Yeah. If I'd made it 6 more seconds, it was over.
Yeah.
And you know, I think if I hadn't headbutted him, I think it would have been over. Because if I saw that, I would have just. If I hadn't kind of blacked out and we'd gone into fight or flight survival mode.
Right.
And that's the thing with me. When I went into survival mode, I just went after him.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I went straight at him and he caught me coming in. But I mean, if I hadn't done that, I probably would have backed off and just kicked him in that. I would have just kept kicking him in that arm.
So what's the next thing that you remember then in that fight?
I remember being in the locker room.
No way.
Yeah, I don't remember anything until the locker room.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I might have remembered. I remember waking up in the ring a little bit when they woke me up, but I just don't remember. I remember being in the locker room trying to figure out having people tell me what happened. You look up. That's why sometimes I don't understand why they talk to people after, and they go, they're like, and they're asking them, and the guys looking, and they're like, so what happened when this happened when you got knocked out? And they're like looking up at the, like trying to figure out. Like, and I've seen guys go, I didn't get knocked out. And I look back at this is an old story, but we got in a fight at a bar. This big fight broke out at a bar, and this guy hit my brother in the back of the head. I grabbed him by the back and I threw him out the door, and he started tumbling down the walkway. And I was coming after him. Because I'm real protective of my little brother.
Sure.
But even though my brother, everyone laughs when they see my little brother. He's like 6'4", 300 pounds, but he's still, he was my baby brother. He had open heart surgery when he was 8, and ever since then he was my baby brother. You know, yeah. I protected him no matter what. You know, people are, why are you so protective of your enormous brother?
Right.
But I was chasing after the guy, and he went to pull his gun. He had a gun, and when he got about here, and I kicked him in the head, knocked him out. Went out cold, and I went down to get the gun, and the cops came up, pulled up, the sirens up. I'm like, oh, not me, not my gun, not my gun. You know, and I knew all the cops at the time. And they're like, "Wait, man, you want to press charges?" This guy was going to pull a gun. I'm like, I'm fine. And the guy actually wound up. The internal affairs came up and asked, asked about the story from me, and they asked 6 different people, got 6 different stories, right? Which is normal.
Sure.
Because when everyone sees things different, but but every one of them said he grabbed his gun. Some said he pointed at me, some said he didn't, some people said he and he said it must have fell out. I never pulled it out. And so he lost his job over that. And I've always thought about that looking back, and man, that really sucks, because you know what? He didn't remember. Like he probably lost that time because he was out.
Yeah.
I mean, I kicked him in the head. Like he was out. And he lost. He didn't lose. He was going to be disciplined anyway, but he lost his job.
Yeah.
I mean, he was scared. He was trying to. I don't know, but I felt bad. Looking back, I always think, man, because whenever we ask that question, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is that guy, poor guy, lost it because I didn't know. I told him no, I don't want him to lose his job. And
it's not your fault.
Well, no, he's not losing his job over you. It's because he's lying. He lied to us.
Yeah.
But see, I don't think he did. He thought he really didn't lie to him.
He just didn't know.
And I didn't at the time didn't know to tell. Like right now, if someone said I would let him know. You got to know he got knocked out.
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't remember. He definitely doesn't remember the 5 seconds before he. I mean, it was 2 seconds before he got kicked in the head. I mean,
Yeah.
If he'd had it was pointed at me, I wouldn't have been kicking him in the head. Like it was, I was running up on him. He's trying to get it out, and I got him.
Do you have moments in your life now where maybe being kicked in the head, punched in the head, knocked down is affecting you now?
Not that I know of, no. I guess I wouldn't know, but but I did go. I went down to Columbia, and I got to BioAccelerator.
Yeah.
They do stem cells.
They're doing everybody. They do a lot of the
everybody.
wrestlers we've talked to.
I do. I did both my shoulders, and amazing results, by the way.
Yeah.
But they also did the one for your brain, I guess. Like they have one they're doing for CTE and stuff like that. And I mean, I'll tell you now, I didn't notice, but my wife said she did. She's like, yeah,
She's paying more attention.
Yeah, she probably noticed more than I do. Like, and I've been doing some stuff with brain training, and they did an EEG, like brain performance center here in like Westlake I go to, but they did an EEG in my brain, and I do have a lot of I'm stuck in, it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it exactly. I'm stuck in like fight or flight most of the time. Like it's always my fight or flight things are firing all the time, and I have like the different places where I'm not using it, but they have a training method to help me get it back. So I mean, it makes sense. I mean, a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm about 16 sessions in. I had 20. They're hoping to be back to normal, and we'll see.
Is there anything on you right now that hurts, like as you walk around?
I had a partial knee replacement not long ago. But honestly, it's better. Like my wife asked me after I got that, because I had to get that, and I had a neck fused. Because actually before my last fight, I probably should have my neck fused. It was sliding and tapping my spine, so they had to fuse it. Because then you lose your balance. You don't have the balance. And if I closed my eyes, I would have no balance. I couldn't pass a drunk test with my eyes closed before the surgery. But then I got surgery and that's all back to normal. All that doesn't hurt. Everything's good. My knee, she asked me 2 weeks after. I said, look, my knee feels better 2 weeks after the surgery than it did for 3 years before.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, and really, the motivation of even getting it was my son, I was running with my son. I was playing soccer with my son, and he comes up to me afterwards, and he's 6 at the time. He might have been 5 at the time, and he's like, "Daddy, you don't have to play with us. You don't have," because he's like, I'd limp after him. I'm like limping the whole way, and does it hurt? And I'm like, man, I don't have to fix it. I don't have to fix it. And he's like, man, you don't have to, Dad, you don't have to do that. It's okay. I'm like, no, it's fine. He's like, why's your leg hurt? I'm like, well, I fought for a living. I wore out one of my knees. Yeah. And he goes, sits there for a second, Dad, I want to be a fighter. I'm like, did you just listen to me? Like I told you, that's why I'm limping. Yeah. Not because, but it was the weirdest. Weird for me. It was kind of really okay. We'll see. I'm gonna teach him to fight. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think he's got the right genes.
Well, yeah. And his mom's a genetic freak, so.
Well, then there you go. We've got a future light heavyweight champion in, what would this be, 15 years?
Yeah.
14 years?
Yeah, he's a tough kid.
Jeez. Obviously, you've been a trailblazer in UFC. And I think there's a lot of people that can now follow in your footsteps and go, look at the career Chuck had in the octagon and look at what he's built afterwards. So I'm curious to know, who was the person that you looked up to as you were coming up? In the fight game, I really didn't have one. I really just we were all kind of just trying to figure out how to make this sport. How to
Anyway, well, I was trying to figure out how to train it,
Yeah.
work, and how to grow it. Because it was like I went back when we started before Dana and Lorenzo came in and turned it around. I mean, a home run would probably be fighting 3 times a year and making $150,000 a year. Like that,
Yeah.
that's not much. There's not much retirement there.
Yeah.
I think I mean I had over $150,000 in sponsors my last fight. So I mean there was a big difference
Sure.
after they took over and the Ultimate Fighter and everything.
Were you able to maybe talk to some of your fellow fighters who were coming up at the same time and going,
Oh yeah,
look what we're doing here?
We collaborated with a lot of guys, and I think it was a real tight community. Like a lot of guys, like all the guys from the Miltich team. Those guys like Matt Hughes and those guys, and I was real close with BJ Penn and his team. John Lewis out in Vegas. We all hung out together. It was kind of an interesting time.
Sure.
Because we were all, there's 5 fights, big fights a year, and all the teams, we all kind of hang out at the same places and all the same, everyone traded, oh, look what they're doing, look what they're doing.
Yeah.
It was one of those things too. At the time, if you're not evolving, you're dying. Everything's passing you by. So you had to keep evolving and learning and doing that. So there was that drive for the guys that I think that had a long career was the guys that were able to adjust.
Yeah.
Make those adjustments.
I mean, I feel like UFC still has such a long way to go to catch up to boxing in terms of paydays. Do you think they'll get there?
I'm sure they'll get there. I mean, I don't know that there's a lot of boxing, but there's not a lot of boxers that get the big paydays though. I mean, there's not anymore. At least there's not that many of them. Although the home run's bigger than. It's definitely huge.
Yeah.
And that's one thing with fighters. Fighters like that home run. They always think I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
Most real fighters they're not worried about. They want the home run. They want to shoot for that home run because they're going to be world champ.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get that big money.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fighters. I mean, obviously you can't speak for all, but that's a fighting mentality. I'm the best in the world. I'm going to show it, and I'm going to make the big money.
Well, and they all come hand in hand. I'm the best in the world. Then I'm going to start to make a bunch of money because I'm the best in the world.
Right.
And I mean, now we're 2 weeks away from the Conor McGregor fight. So it's Conor, Dustin 3. How do you see that fight going?
I'm expecting Conor to come in and have made some adjustments. He's a very smart martial artist, and I think he'll have made some adjustments, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I mean, Poirier's tough, man, and he showed it, but he's still always got to be careful. Like I think if Conor's not ready for that leg kick again and stopping the leg kicks, he's going to have a lot of trouble. But if he is, then he's dangerous all the time, and he's you got to be careful and not get caught.
I think Conor won that first round last
fight.
Yeah,
I thought he won the first round too, and then but you could see at the end of it his leg was hurting already.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that doesn't look good. If that keeps going on, it's going to be trouble. So we'll see what happens.
And then Dustin started that flurry, and he just caught him. Like, that was it.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I think that had a lot to do with the leg being hurt and not being able to move right.
Yeah.
Not be able to, and then and Dustin finished him the way he should. He got him hurt and went.
Yeah.
That's how you put someone away.
Your name keeps getting thrown around as an opponent for Jake Paul. And you, what a reaction!
Well, look, man, I don't mind messing around, joking around for that stuff. But I'm too big for the kid. I mean, it makes no sense for them to fight me. But he's not going to fight me. Yeah. Like, even if his camp thought he could beat me, they have to be worried the whole time. Because the last thing to go for a fighter, especially in boxing, is power. Mm-hmm. So the guys he trains with know me, and they know I still hit as hard as I ever have. So even if they think he could beat me 7 out of 10 times or whatever, they're going to be worried that, oops, he makes one mistake anytime during this fight, it's over.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I don't think it'll ever make any sense for them to do it. Any small for me, they're moving them along slowly, like they should. The problem with a lot of guys is making a big name for themselves. It was back in the old days when the UFC guys would come over from other sports. This big wrestler, and then all of a sudden they're fighting top end guys.
Yep.
Like they get thrown to the wolves, right? And it's like, they're not ready for that. They need to get a few warm up fights and build their way up, and they need to learn a few more things as they're going, and get better and better, and then fight the top rung. And then maybe they could have got there, but if you don't. Like if you just jump right in, sometimes now you might get caught by someone that would have never caught you 5 fights down the road.
I can only think of it working once in UFC, and that was Brock Lesnar.
Right, and it
didn't work for everybody else.
Yeah, and Brock was a national champ wrestler, and he was, they put him up against a wrestler.
Yeah,
or a guy that wasn't really good against wrestlers too. Like I think was the first fight he was with, these guys didn't have a very.
Well, then I mean Frank Mir kind of put him in his place.
Right.
In his next fight.
Right, 100%. Now he gets in there with a guy that's a great jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
And you got to try to deal with that, and you haven't trained for it.
Right. It just feels like with the excitement that Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather had for this last fight, feels like celebrity boxing is like it's a thing again. You were just part of a celebrity boxing event.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was just an interesting matchup. I mean, a guy, really big and really small.
Yeah, this was Lamar Odom and Aaron Carter.
Aaron Carter, yeah.
And you were the referee.
Yeah, I was referee. And I actually tried to get Aaron to get back up after getting knocked down. I think it was the second time. And he's like, I'm sitting there counting slow, and I'm like, come on, man, get up, let's go. He's like, no, I'm done. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, he figured out he wasn't going to do anything. I mean, if he was, he hit. I think he hit Lamar like 8 or 9 times unanswered at the beginning in the head.
Yeah.
And if that's not going to do anything, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in a little bit. I think that's when you go, oh no, this isn't working.
Yeah. I think that there's maybe an opportunity for you. Are you interested in doing a celebrity match?
I mean,
Shaq was the name you threw out.
No, someone else threw out Shaq, and I said, well, if I'm going to do a big basketball guy, what about Barkley? He challenged me again in golf. He drove me. I played in the Tahoe tournament.
Okay.
With him a long time ago. We were joking around about it because I actually wound up beating him at the last in the 17th or 18th hole, 17th hole of that thing or something. I took the lead to be second to last. So I'm a terrible golfer.
but you weren't last.
But he tried to. He was trying to. The only reason that even came to my mind is because I just seen him right before that interview, and he said, "Man, you coming back out to Tahoe anytime?" I'm like, I think he just wants to get that win. Like he wants to beat me. At golf. I mean, because I hear he's playing good again. He just had that weird swing for a while, like that hiccup in his swing. Have you seen it? Have you actually seen it?
No,
I'd heard about it and saw it. And I mean, it was really like he'd start going to swing and he'd go. I'm like,
what?
I'm like, what was that? Like, is he really doing? Like, how's that even possible? I thought he was kidding. Like you got to be kidding.
Yeah,
it's got to be a joke. Like you can't be doing that for real. But he was. It was some mental thing and mental block, or I don't know, weird.
Speaking of unorthodox, I always wondered because I grew up playing baseball. Did you play baseball? Because the way you throw your overhand right is almost like a pitcher throwing a fastball.
Yeah, I played baseball, and I actually explain it like that a lot of times.
It looks like that.
That's what you want. You want to throw. You want to throw the overhand like you're throwing a fastball, but now just you got to close your fist at the end. I
remember the first time I saw you because I was playing pretty competitive baseball at the time. I went, that's a baseball throw.
Yeah, and it's an overhand. Like most people throw that overhand this way.
Yeah.
I throw it over here. I throw it over my head because I want to come this way. If you come this way, it's a lot easier.
This
to
is
block.
getting scary with these fists of fury right in front of my face here.
It's a lot easier. So I always try to come. I want this angle.
And you do it with your left as well.
Yeah. Well, you have to. If someone's, you can do like an out. I throw a different. It's a different one, but it's a whip with my left. I mean, same concept. It's one of the left hooks I throw.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's like almost like a overhand right left, but it's like it's just a whip throw, and it's just a.
I'm getting nervous with these being thrown around here.
It's a really. I mean, but it's a.
Still got the power.
That's a really loose power power punch, but it's not. And and I use a lot of different hooks. Like there's little short ones. I use different hooks, but I think I pride myself on throwing things from different angles and in different ways, and I had a lot of different tools to use when I was fighting.
If you could go back and do one of your fights over again, which one do you think it would be? Win or loss?
Okay, now that's hard to choose. It would have to be. I want to go back. I would like another shot at Rampage. Is really who I'd want a shot at. But out of the fights for the fans, I think the Vanderlei Silva fight. I wish we had 2 more rounds. I wish it was nowadays, cause if it was like more, if they could make a non-title fight 5 rounds.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Because I think we both deserve 2 more rounds.
Do you think you would have done anything different if you fought Randy again?
No, actually, the first fight, I made my adjustments after the first fight, and obviously I could go back and hopefully made the adjustments I made for the second and third fight.
Yeah.
For the first fight, but I didn't. So, I made the adjustments and I was able to. And big thing with him was I just keep turning corners, and not letting him like push me against the cage.
Yeah.
So I was just pivoting off and hitting him. And I think that was the biggest thing was being able to move and having those just being able to pivot out and hit him. He was trying to close the distance, and because he can't stay outside, he can't just stay outside and out. He was more of a boxing wrestler.
Yeah.
Dirty boxing and boxing. So if he stays too far outside, I'll just kick the hell out of his legs.
Yeah.
And but when he's got to close the distance, and when he closes the distance, I kept turning the corners and keep making sharp turns so he'd go past me, and then I hit him.
I'm like envisioning this in my head. I'm like replaying the fight in my head as you're saying all this.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and it's hard to take a guy down for wrestling when they're always moving sideways.
Yeah. Are you still training now?
I not as much as I used to, of course, but I lift and I try to hit the bag and
still look like you're in great shape.
I still try to get in for wrestling. I haven't done a lot of wrestling lately, but I try to get in, helping the kids wrestle a little bit. But they're not big enough to wrestle with me yet. Can't wait till my son's big enough to wrestle me.
What's the best advice that you have for someone who's trying to get in, follow your footsteps?
Train hard. Like train hard is the biggest thing. I mean, but you got to find a good coach, find good people, find a good gym. I always say for people if you're a kid, if you want to get your kid into it, wrestling is a great base. Yeah. Just straight regular wrestling, and then and it's a good time to learn everything. You learn, good karate school, good or boxing or kickboxing school, or it's more for me it's more the coach than and jiu-jitsu. It's a good time. I mean, but if I had to have one, if you're bringing me a guy with one skill, then I would always choose wrestling. Because you give me say you bring me a kid at 21, 22, that was an All-American wrestler, Division I All-American wrestler. I know he's tough. Yeah. I know he can cut weight. I know, and I know he knows how to get in shape, and I know he knows how to wrestle. I can teach. And there's a lot of skills that we won't have time from there on going to fighting to teach you from wrestling that you would inherently have from being years of mat time. There's a lot of mat time we'll never get. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I can't teach you good enough to be a good MMA wrestler. Yeah. From scratch, I can. That's not a problem. But if you're really out there trying to become, it's you get a lot of stuff. You get a lot less hurt when you're a little more flexible when you're little, and you're kind of you get to learn it for free a little bit more. Yeah. Than trying to get out there busting people's heads.
Yeah. Busted People says, are you enjoying life after fighting? Now you're a podcaster. So, like, you're on the other side of this a lot. Congratulations. It's called Icebreakers.
Icebreakers, yeah.
So wherever people are listening to this, they can find your podcast.
Right. And yeah, and it's fun. I'm having a really good time with it. I didn't know if I would.
You've had a lot of great guests, too.
Yeah, and that's part of it, too. I love talking to people.
Dana White was an early guest. Matthew McConaughey was just on the show.
Yeah, and those are great. And for me, I'm getting a little more used to being on the other side of it, like where I'm asking questions. And like, I think with some of the people, looking back now already, some of the guys I know real well that I've talked to, I think I could have pulled out a few more stories that I already knew that I really wasn't that interested in hearing.
Yeah.
But people listening were probably very interested to hear.
Yeah.
I have to remember that this is for them, not necessarily just for me.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, guys I don't know, I'm sure I'm hoping. Well, I get a little selfish with guys I don't know because I just want to ask them questions.
Want to know everything, yeah.
Yeah, I want to know what they're doing and whatever. But yeah, I'm getting more used to it, and I think it'll keep getting better. And as long as I'm having fun, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was able to do things in my career where, at least now, like, I'm at a point where if I don't really like doing something, I really don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah. I think you should have Stipe Miocic on the show, and I'm sure you've heard this. People think that you guys sound the same.
You
haven't been told that yet?
I've heard that before. Yeah. But, that's the thing. The problem with that is then we'll start talking to each other.
No one's going to know.
And no one will understand what we're saying. Because I was out with my trainer, John Hackelman, and he started going, he's like, huh? Like people like, me and him start talking, and people are like, what are they saying? Like, we understand each other. But it's just funny. I think that would be funny. That'd be fun.
I mean, if it was audio only, you might not know who's talking.
But the funny thing with that too, like when I was talking to Anderson, I thought, man, you were talking really clear that day. You did a really good job. I'm like, well, he doesn't speak the best English. I mean, he understands it really well, but I was trying to talk really clear so he could, make sure he got it and can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he understands really well. He just, it's because he has kind of like has the translator a little bit too to make sure, but it's like he's been living here forever.
Well, yeah.
And when we talk, you have when you're talking normal, like you have no problem like having a conversation with him. I think that's kind of funny too. I saw Glover Teixeira. They were doing a translator for him after a fight, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I called him up, like, why do you have a translator? Like, because he used to be my sparring partner for years. He speaks perfect English. Like, I mean, better than some of my friends, at least, that are from here. Yeah. So he's probably clearer than I am sometimes. But anyway, like, why are you not saying? But they just like doing that because he's Brazilian, so for the crowd, I guess.
I feel like you were so goal-driven throughout your whole career. Now that you're not fighting anymore, what are the goals that you're striving after now?
That was the big struggle, I think, right after retiring. Is what drives you now? Because I have a bunch of things I could do. Like I had a lot of opportunities, more than most, when I retired.
Yeah.
And
the amount of guest appearances you've made, Simpsons, Entourage,
all that
movies.
Stuff. I love doing that stuff. And the movies now, I'm taking more serious and trying to get more serious roles and more roles and doing some more stuff. I mean, the COVID thing kind of screwed it up for a little while, but we get back to that a little bit because I enjoy it. And I figured out I like trying to act. But I loved a lot of those cameos. They're a lot of fun. I mean, Entourage, it was my favorite show. It was my favorite show, and I asked everybody I knew to get me on it. Everybody I knew had any connection to the show. And now every single one of them took credit when I got on.
Sure.
But it's fine. Like it wasn't like it was a money thing anyway. So I'm like, yeah, cool, thanks, thank you, and thank you. Whoever contributed to getting me on the show, thank you.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because I was told because I just want to be on the show. I want to wave hi to Vince or something and walk on because it was my favorite. It's the last show that I actually watched every week.
Yeah.
Like I'd make a point to actually make it to a theater or make it to somewhere that had like if I was traveling, I get somewhere. Oh, well, who's got HBO? I got to watch it's live and it's the first show of this. I might even go see it. It was the last show where I cared to get there and watch it the first when it aired, right? So that's why I'm like I just want to be on it. I just want to be. I think he's got all these cameos, people walking on. I want to be on it, and I guess they were doing that skit with the You Got skit.
Yeah.
I think
like
they had
their version of Punk'd. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had a different prank.
Yeah.
Originally, but they're like, "Oh, we got Chuck on. We might as well make him the prank." And they rewrote it, so I thought that was really cool.
The reaction from Johnny Drama was so great. Oh, hi, Chuck.
Yeah, it was awesome. And those guys are great. They made it real easy, and they're trying to help me out.
So now that COVID is hopefully behind us, more acting for you?
Yeah, I would like to just start doing some more stuff. But they had one. I was going to actually be the main guy. I was playing a Secret Service guy guarding the president. It was cool. It was a cool little script, and I hopefully maybe they'll get that rebooted or whatever and get it going. But something will come up, so we'll see.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting us into your home.
Oh,
it's been great.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
No,
thanks for coming over.
I'm happy to do it. And again, Icebreakers is available wherever you're listening to this podcast. I end every interview talking about gratitude because I think that if you can be grateful, you'll live a great life. So what are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
Grateful for right now. I'm really grateful for my kids. They're probably the brightest thing in my life. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all the things, all the people that helped me get to where I'm here. I never forget anybody that helped me get. I got to do everything I wanted in the fight world. I became world champion, and I'm still, able to live off that career.
You're still one of the most recognizable UFC fighters ever.
And I'm really just grateful to be alive, man. I'm here. I'm living. I'm, enjoying, be able to enjoy my time and be able to help other people. Like I've been, I never wanted to be anybody's role model. I never wanted to be. I'm not anyone's role model. I'm just me. But I kind of realize that at some point you got to accept the fact that people look up to you, or they, and I've had quite a few fans come up to me and say that I've helped them through things or helped them, that I inspired them to do things or to be better, and I guess I'm grateful that I'm able to help people even though I didn't know I was helping them in the past, and I can still help people, do better things or be happier or get through difficult times. If I can do any of that for anybody, it's great. I mean, I actually had a guy come up to me the other day because, hey man, my dad just died, and he was kind of an asshole, but my best memories with him were watching you fight.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, that's a little different, but okay.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could be there, but I'm glad at least that's the positive memories he has with his dad.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing, and that makes me happy. Like the things like that, being able. I'm really grateful for those kind of interactions with fans too. Like people come up and tell me, hey, you helped me get through. You helped me walk again. You helped me. I've had crazy stuff, and I'm like, wow, and that's probably one of the most gratifying things I have from my career.
Yeah.
Is the people that I was able to inspire and help.
Well, the amazing thing is you inspire people whether they're a fighter or not. You inspire people no matter what their occupation is.
Yeah, and I was talking more about people that weren't fighters. I mean, there's quite a few fighters that
of course
have come up to me and said, hey man, I got a picture. Here's a picture I had with you. Someone posted it, but not even the Conor one, a different one, where a guy posted a picture. He's like, and he said like, hey, there's a picture of me with Chuck. He's the guy that got me into fighting, and I fight in the UFC tomorrow night.
Damn.
So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So that really wasn't the one I was really thinking about, but that one's really cool too.
Yeah.
The fighter one, but yeah.
This was really cool. So, Chuck, thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.